Who are the big winners from Georgia's G-Day scrimmage last weekend? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Got a number of guys who I think really stood out and made a name for themselves last weekend. I'm going to be breaking down who I think had the biggest performances and really the big winners from the scrimmage. Of course, Carson Beck is one of them, but if you've been watching these videos, if you've been anywhere on DAWGS for the last several years, you know that is no surprise. He's a very, very good quarterback. So obviously one of the big winners, clear quarterback one in my eyes. But there are a few other guys that I'd rather touch on a little bit more because y'all already know about Carson Beck. You saw what he did at G-Day, and I think he's in for a massive, massive year in 2023. But a guy that I think a lot of people didn't know about was Makai Mews, number 87. If you didn't know about him going into G-Day, that's okay. He's a former walk-on, not a scholarship guy, but he is quick, shifty, explosive, great in the return game, and an option at wide receiver that I think people are going to see more of in the fall. Played at Central Gwinnett, covered him in high school, was always a threat to score anytime he touched the football, had multiple offers to play at the collegiate level, but decided to walk on at Georgia. It was a big deal at the time. When I saw that he committed to Georgia as a walk-on, I was a little surprised because I knew that he could play at the next level. During G-Day, had 4 catches on 6 targets, 91 yards, a touchdown, and a long return. He's, again, he knows how to elude defenders. Tough to corral because he is a smaller guy, but he can run, man. There's no doubt about that. Senior year had 76 catches, just over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and dominated my South Forsyth War Eagles. So I know what the kid can do, and I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people in the fall. Now, we don't think he's going to start or anything like that, but I do expect him to play a little bit and make some plays and be in the running for the starting kick returner, punt returner job. Not saying he's going to be the guy, but I think he's going to get a strong look. So he's definitely a guy who stood out. And I think if you watch G-Day, the full thing, he probably stood out to you too. So he's definitely a big winner from last weekend's scrimmage. Cash Jones, running back. Now I know Kendall Milton didn't play. He's out. Branson Robinson walked out of the tunnel with a boot on his foot. He was out. Andrew Paul is still out. Dejan Edwards, not 100%. So we saw a lot of the guys who were kind of buried on the depth chart. Roderick Robinson was really the only 100% healthy running back. We saw some of him, but Cash Jones is a guy who played a little bit last year, had a really impressive 36-yard touchdown, I believe, against Vanderbilt late in the game. You know, he's pretty quick for his size. He's another walk-on, came out of Texas, about 6 foot, 180 pounds. So he's got some size and can catch the ball too. He rushed for 22 yards at G-Day, but caught 4 passes for 34 yards. So he is someone who can help you out of the backfield in the passing game, catching passes and get upfield. I mean, he can slash, right? He can make guys miss. Quick, shows good burst. Another guy who I think probably could have played at the collegiate level somewhere, decided to walk on at Georgia. And again, carried the ball 3 times last year for 50 yards, including that touchdown against Vanderbilt. I thought he opened some eyes at G-Day. And again, if everyone's healthy, you're not going to see a ton of Cash Jones, who probably has one of the best names on the team, maybe the best name on the roster. But in breakout games, he's a guy who you could see. Sorry, I got like 2 text messages pop up on my phone just then that I was trying to read because they were going to be really important. But he is a guy that you're going to see a decent amount in garbage time, especially if a guy or 2 ahead of him is still banged up. So he's about as good of a 5th running back option as you're going to find across the country. Definitely opened some eyes at G-Day. Xavian Sorey on the defensive side of the ball, right? Former 5-star. Kirby talked about him during the spring, said he's getting better and better. Played a really, really small school in Florida before going to IMG Academy his final year in high school, but was hurt. So it's easy to understand why it's taken him a little bit longer to develop and progress at Georgia. But I mean, 6'3", 215, had 7 tackles. I think that was leading the entire team at G-Day. He's a physical tackler. I mean, he really flashed. When he makes a tackle, he's slinging you around like a rag doll. I mean, he was easy to notice, can run really well for his size, always had the potential to make big plays and be a big-time player. Maybe this is the year that he has a breakout season. I know he definitely flashed for me at G-Day, and he made some physical, strong tackles. I mean, you know when he makes a play. He's easy to notice out there. So if the light comes on for him, you're talking about another big-time defender who can really make some noise. Now, Smile Munden was out. And Jawan Dumas-Johnson is still, I'm not sure he's 100% either, but those are your starters, right? But, Jalen Walker, we saw a lot of him last year as a true freshman linebacker. He was out too. So this was a big opportunity for Xavian Sorey to show what he can do. And I think he absolutely capitalized on that opportunity, had a big G-Day game. And it's not like he made 7, nice, little tackles, right? They were big. They were solid. They were physical tackles where he said, okay, there's that 5-star talent that we heard about last year. So third year for him, he needs to make a big jump and have a decent year this year if he wants to play at the next level. Definitely got to keep an eye on, and someone that I thought was one of the big winners at G-Day. So Damon Wilson, another guy, talked about him having a breakout spring, one of the early enrollees, the freshman. Had 2 sacks, 6'4", 225, has length, can bend, explosive off the snap, gets into the backfield in a hurry. Again, he's a guy that y'all should probably know already because he was a breakout candidate for me this spring. And I've been talking about him being one of those freshmen in an extremely talented freshman class. This group is very, very good. I've talked about it being one of the best that Kirby has brought in on the defensive side of the ball in that 23 class. And he is starting to live up to that 5-star hype. I say starting to. I mean, kid's barely been there, and he's already flashing and making plays. Had 2 sacks at G-Day. Now, was going against, the second stringers. He wasn't doing this against Makai Mews or, Ernest Green, Austin Blaskey, Tate Riley. He wasn't against those guys, but you could see the early potential and why he was a 5-star. He is a big time pass rusher, 5-star for a reason, and he flashed that ability at G-Day. So he's another guy to keep an eye on, but I thought all the freshmen defenders played really well, and I said that on a running home video. We were talking about what are Georgia fans going to realize after G-Day, and I said they're going to notice those freshman defenders. I've said it for a long time now. C.J. Allen was all over the place for that second string defense, running guys down. He's thick, powerful, but he can move. Janelle Aguero had a big hit. Tackle for loss. He knows how to strike. He's an intimidating safety prospect who is going to make a lot of guys, worried about coming over the middle. He's only going to get better and better. I know the staff absolutely loves him, though. Jordan Hall. I spoke with Jordan Hall's coach on the phone for about 30 minutes, about a week before he committed to Georgia, because we knew it was coming. We wanted to get a coach's corner type of piece. And after speaking with his coach, I am all 100% bought in on him. Buy all the stock you can on Jordan Hall. And I've said I think he could be the closest thing to Jalen Carter that Georgia is going to see anytime soon. Big. I mean, he is a big dude. He was easy to notice, 44 out there, had 2 pass deflections, can create pressure from the inside, can get after the quarterback, can close those running lanes in between the tackles. This is a guy who could do it all. His stock soared on all the recruiting sites. I think he ended up as a 5-star or at 1 or 2 different outlets, but again, after speaking with guys who coached him at the high school level, all bought in on him. I thought he really flashed as well at times during G-Day. A.J. Harris, another guy who is only going to get better. I think he got beat a couple times, but still made 5, 6 tackles, had a pass breakup, long, athletic cornerback. Not sure he's going to push for a starting job or anything like that this year, but, when the backups are when it's time for them to come into the game late in a lot of these ball games when Georgia is blowing their opponents out, which is going to happen a good bit. A.J. Harris is a guy I think Georgia fans are going to see late in ball games who can make a play or two. So I think, again, he was another 5-star for a reason. That length, the footwork, his natural cover skills are going to get him on the field. Could be a starter down the road. I think he will be, not this year, but if he continues to progress and develop the way I think he should, this is a guy who could maybe be a multi-year starter at cornerback down the road. So I thought he played really well. Raylan Wilson had a pick 6 towards the end of the game, the scrimmage. Fast, instinctive, great cover skills, and he knows how to hit as well. So those freshman defenders were all over the place, but Makai Mews, Cash Jones, Xavian Sorey, Damon Wilson, and of course Carson Beck, I think were the big winners from G-Day. I still have to watch it over again. This is, just notes that I took from being up in the press box watching it. So I still need to go back and watch G-Day and kind of break it down because there were, I'm sure, a couple things that I missed, but off the top of my head, from first glance, those were the guys who I thought really impressed and kind of made a name for themselves after G-Day. So what do you think? I want to hear your thoughts down below. Make sure you sign up to the newsletter. A lot of recruiting news going on, a lot of recruiting news. I'm sitting on a couple stories that I'm just waiting to get out there when the time comes. We've got a lot over on DAWGS. Sign up to the newsletter, so make sure you don't miss out on any of the stuff we have on the site right now and in the future. Always appreciate y'all watching these videos. As always, stay tuned to the next one coming up right now, and I'll see you over on DAWGS.